Welcome, everyone. This program is called Growing Up Ridgefield. And the purpose of the program is to learn what Ridgefield was like years ago, what it's like today, how it's changed, and the important people and places and events that have taken place. And we have such a special couple with us tonight. We have Wendy Lionetti, who is our town clerk, and we have Mark, her husband, who is a businessman but was also an athlete here in Ridgefield for many years. And by the way, I'm Darla Shaw, and I'm just going to ask the questions and hope I get great responses, which I know I will. Well, welcome the two of you. It's so nice to have you here in your beautiful backyard.
Thank you.
And we're going to start right from the beginning. And we'll start with Wendy.
Okay.
Little Wendy. What was Wendy like in middle school? Do you remember the school, the teachers, the events? What are your earliest memories of Ridgefield?
My earliest memory in school would be probably going to preschool at a house on North Salem Road. It's a historic home, and there was a preschool in the basement. I don't know the exact address, but it was near Hobby Drive and Circle
Yeah.
Drive.
Krebs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was actually the old poorhouse.
It was the old poorhouse.
Yeah.
Well,
That was the old poorhouse.
It was.
Yes, that's where you went to
I
nursery.
went to nursery school.
Yeah,
preschool
it was
there.
historic. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And then I went to St. Mary's for the first 3 years of my elementary school education. And then because St. Mary's closed, I ended up going to Ridgebury School because we're based in Ridgebury over here. So Ridgebury was my elementary school for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. We had a junior high school then, we didn't have middle schools. So after 6th, we all went to the junior high on East Ridge.
Do you remember any of her teachers or fun activities or school events?
Yes, a lot of things. One thing that I actually recall, and I've discussed it with other classmates, when we went to Ridgebury School, there was always a group of girls that would go down by the playground. Once we were older, we were probably in 5th and 6th grade, and we would levitate each other, something that we thought was magic. It was magic. So one person would lay down, and other girls would be placed around the person, and they would lay very still, and everyone would put their 2 fingers underneath the girl who was laying still, and the person at their head would speak some special chant or story, and then we would all raise the person up, and usually we could lift the girl up. I have no idea how it happened, but I'm convinced we all levitated each other. It was something that
I have to admit, when I've asked this question to many people, I have never gotten a response
About
like this.
levitating?
This is the most unusual, but it's very interesting, right?
I know. It's funny how sometimes we have memories, and when we share them with other people remember them differently. But that I've shared at reunions, and the other people that I've shared it with remember it the same way. So I do
Wow.
feel confident in saying that.
Yeah. So Mark, what were your memories? Where did you go to school? How did you spend your free time?
Well, I grew up on Ramapo Hill, and my parents moved here in the early 50s. I'm the youngest of 4, and the town was growing so quickly, and we were just building schools left and right and redistricting every year, it seems. So 1st grade at Veterans Park, this without moving, 2nd grade to Ridgebury. No, yeah, yeah. 3rd grade over to Farmingville for 3, 4, 5, and 6.
That's crazy. You went to Ridgebury for
Yeah.
2nd?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had Mrs. Titus,
Right.
Mrs. Blair 1st grade, Miss Titus, Miss Levinson, Mrs. Felice, and then it goes a little bit
Wow.
shady on me there, but
I
yeah,
remember the
and
teachers too.
school was great. It was loved being in school and being with all your friends.
And what did you like to do with your friends in town?
Well, I mean, after school, it was kind of a different time. Uh, I'll get home off the bus, maybe grab something to eat, and then go get together with everybody in the neighborhood and play sports. And that just depended on the time of year. Baseball in the warmer months and basketball later till we had some ice. Then we'd play hockey and some football thrown in there. But yeah, definitely hanging out with your friends in the neighborhood was a big deal.
Did you ever go on to any organized sports after that?
Played Little League baseball all the time, played a little bit of townies, it was called, I'm not sure what it's called now, basketball. Never played organized hockey until much later in life. But in high school I played soccer for all the years, so organized sports was always a big part of, I don't know, my life and most and all of my friends. It's really kind of one of the things that kept us together.
Well, we've been focusing more on elementary. Let's talk about middle school and high school. What happened? Did you find a love, a passion, a subject? Were there different events? What about, concerts or proms or things like that? Want to start, Wendy?
Sure. Well, middle school was interesting because, we have all this everyone in separate elementary schools, and when we merge into one junior high, it brought all these new people into my life. Didn't know all these people, so that was really interesting. And I remember at that time there were a couple of teachers, and now I grew up in this neighborhood in Ridgebury. We had bought the golf course. I grew up on the 18th hole, but when I was younger, it wasn't a golf course. It was a farm owned by the Dilly family. And when I was in middle school and a little bit before then, the town ended up with the property and it was becoming a golf course. So now I'm in middle school, and there were a couple of teachers that liked golf, and we would go to the golf course. Me and I had a group of about 7 friends in the neighborhood, all girls that were give or take my age, 7 or 8. And we would caddy for these teachers while they went and played golf. So that was kind of an interesting
Wow,
thing.
that's
It was
interesting.
Fun. We also would play hockey at the rink across the street from the junior high during, well, we wouldn't play hockey during the elective periods, but we would go and just skate. But that was a big part of my life as a kid. My brothers played hockey, so skating was a fun thing
So it was
to do.
part of a gym class then?
It was an elected period at the beginning of the day, once a week, and you could
Okay.
choose to do all different things, and that was always my choice to go skate. It was fun. Go ahead.
Okay, about your
Interject?
high school and middle school years.
I totally agree. Middle school was interesting, and back then it was 7th and 8th grade, and I think that's
Right.
changed now.
Yeah.
But getting to meet kids from other parts of town was eye-opening, just
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then those years, if you were a small 7th grader and you were in school with a big 8th grader, it was a big difference. And then you find that again when you go to high school. And then it was 9, 10, 11, and 12 in high school. So,
Yeah.
To be coming into 9th grade and with these seniors, some of whom,
Were frightening.
yes,
Men, they were like men.
yeah.
How big were your classes at that time, your graduating classes?
I think we had in '78 the biggest graduating high school class that Ridgefield's ever had.
Oh,
about 540 kids.
Oh,
Yeah, we were
wow. I didn't,
500-ish.
the town really grew, like you said. It
Oh,
was-
we were in the biggest of the baby booms.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm wrong about this, but we even did split sessions growing up in elementary school. There were just so many kids. We had at least 30 kids in a classroom.
Wow.
And
I don't remember that.
yeah,
We did it.
and they would talk about today how there's way less kids in the high school, and the class size is too large or something.
Yeah.
But class sizes were large.
Right. Do you remember any of your teachers that were outstanding in high school?
Yes. I can't think of her name now. Go ahead, you talk.
The art teacher?
Mrs. Aspinwall, yes, she was Justine Aspinwall was my pottery teacher, and she definitely encouraged me a lot in that, and that's always been a sidebar passion of mine that I've actually been able to embrace much more in my adult years. I built a little studio in our house. We built a little studio in our house. Definitely fueled by Justine Aspinwall.
Wow. And it started in high school.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah. Did anyone influence you, role models from high school or middle school? No, that's okay. Now, were you two in high school at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, so did you date in high school?
No.
No. Okay. So later on, the two of you came together, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Now,
Yeah.
let's move on to the college years. Okay. So Wendy, where did you go to school?
So I didn't go to college per se. I went to a vocational school, Catherine Gibbs in Norwalk. So I commuted. I lived at my parents' house and went to school to Catherine Gibbs. I attempted WestCon, and at that point in my life, I already had a child, and so I didn't pursue it. So I just have a certification.
Catherine Gibbs
Administrative.
had such an amazing reputation at that time. I still remember that.
Yeah.
Yes. So many people have gone so far with the Catherine Gibbs education. Yeah.
One thing that became really clear to me when I was in school, I wasn't a stellar student when I was in high school. But when I went to Catherine Gibbs, first of all, I wanted to learn. So I was a stellar student. But I realized that I got such a great education from Ridgefield High School. Some of the other people, and they were all girls, but a lot of the other girls, I was surprised that there were basic things that they didn't know that I had learned in school. So I valued the education that I got at Ridgefield High School much more going out.
Okay. So where did you go to college?
Went to UConn up in Stores for 4 years and got a bachelor's in business and
Okay.
marketing.
And did you go into business right after you graduated?
No, right afterward, I did all sorts of other things like framing houses or painting, and then started what I'll say my career and what I'm still doing today in '89. So I graduated in '82, and for 6 or so years did a whole bunch of other stuff until I figured out that wasn't gonna.
Okay. So basically, what do you do today? What is your career?
Well, we sell and service everything from ATMs to any type of security equipment that'll go into a bank or credit union.
Okay. But you've had many, many jobs along the way. What is probably the worst job when you were probably younger that
Oh,
you
Lord.
had?
That's easy. Probably washing dishes at the Smalley house. By far. Let me see, I think I was 15 or 16, and I think it was about $2.15 an hour, and you worked very hard in a very hot kitchen under not great conditions.
But Smalley House here in Ridgefield?
Yeah, what's there today? Well, along the way, it became
Galloway's.
Galloway's, which then blew up,
Blew up.
from a
Oh, okay.
right-
Gas
okay.
explosion.
Now, yeah.
yeah, and that was
It's not on
Tequila
top.
Escape.
Tequila Escape. That's
So
what it's
did
called.
you were laughing about his experience at Smalley's? Did you have a bad work experience too?
I didn't. I've heard the bad work experience story before from Mark. It when he
It
gets
was
together
emotionally
with his friend.
scarring.
Right.
No, I actually have had. I think I've had a lot of fun, cool jobs. I worked at the Danbury Fair 2 seasons in the crepe booth selling crepes.
Okay.
That was really fun. It was very, I was 16, 17, and it was just for 2 weeks, every October when the fair was open. So to be able to go in and get, see the behind the scenes, what goes on at the fair and all the carnies and everything, that was exciting and fun. And I worked at Donut Time most of my high school life, and then a little bit thereafter, which was a service job. I feel like I've lent myself service jobs. Service is what I do, and I enjoy it. I had one great boss at Donut Time, these 2 partners, and one boss who was a challenge. He was grumpy, and I found, like, to me, I wanted to make him smile. That was like my own personal challenge. It was kind of a silly thing, but we got to be on good terms, and it was a good, hard job.
Yeah. So tell us about your trajectory in the town hall. How did you had a lot of jobs moving up to the town clerk, right?
I had a few, not a lot. Well, I
Okay.
started out, when Mark and I first got married and we had our son, I was working full time, and then at one point we decided, we have 3 children, for me to be out of the house all day, all the summer long. I would pause and not work and take care of the children. Then going back to work was just a part-time job. So I was really in a part-time job at that moment, and then to get back into the workforce, I started in the assessor's office in a part-time position. And I was in that position for about 9 months when the assistant to the first select man at the time, that job was posted, and I threw my hat in the ring. I thought I would try and see if I would be qualified. And there were a lot of applicants, and I was hired, and I worked for Rudy for about 15 or 16 years, and it was wonderful. It was a great. We had a good synergy. I think. He was a great boss, and when Barbara Filippi said she was thinking of retiring, I said I would really be interested in applying for that job, and so I did, and I was hired. So I've been down there for about 7 years now. Down there,
And
meaning
what's
in
the
town
best
clerk's
part of
office.
that job? What do you really like?
Of the town clerk's job?
Yeah.
I just love, I love interacting with the public. I feel like, I like being able to give answers to questions. I want to know, I want to be able to provide the correct information. So sometimes there's research that's involved, and just supporting, our local government. I find it very satisfying.
Yeah. So let's talk a little. You talked about service. You're a person of service, and that's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you are too, Mark. And I know you're the president of, the Ridgefield Old Timers, which is a really old time organization. So you're president right now, and tell us about the club and why this club is important to you.
Well, I had some friends that were in the club who talked me into joining, and then really came to appreciate, the mission and the other teammates, in Rhoda, right? And I've been the chairman now for a few years, and we have an awards night once a year, and we honor Ridgefielders who have gone above and beyond in a variety of categories, whether it's achievement in sports or civic, like volunteering, or educators. We have a special category for people that don't fit neatly into one of the other categories, and we honor them and raise some money, and with those proceeds, we give scholarships to Ridgefield High School graduates.
Yeah, it's such a worthy organization, and it goes back so many years. And the names of the people who have been in the leadership are just, it's a wall of history for Ridgefield. Now, Wendy, you do so much service. Tell us what you're doing for service, especially, I don't know, I just am so taken by what you do with your jewelry making for your group.
Well, I learned about Sphere working for Rudy. Sphere is an organization that works with other abled adults who have aged out of the education environment. So most people who have other abilities, disabilities, are able to attend school through the age of 22 now. It used to be 21, now it's 22. And at that point, the services that are available to them pretty much drop off. So a couple of parents many years ago, upwards of 40 years ago, of other abled adults realized that their children would be without a social network, and so they started Sphere. So Rudy had volunteered for a scoop-a-thon at Carvel in 2005 or 6, I think it was, and so I went to support it and found out what Sphere was all about. And then I started attending and helping with our art class. And then when the art class was over, because it was just a summertime thing at that point, I ended up helping with their performing arts. And then I just became friendly with some of the members, and I was doing beading then, making jewelry, and decided, would you like to, we could meet at town hall and we could bead together. And that's kind of how the inception of it. And one person brought another friend, and then someone else brought a friend, and the group grew. And now we have, fast forward many years later, we have space that we rent. There's a little bug. And we have, we meet weekly, year round, and one week we'll do jewelry making or beading, and then the following week we make clay pieces, all different kinds of things. We've made cups and decorated them. We make wall pockets. We make menorahs, whistles, shakers, all kinds of fun things. We made these little things to hang on your refrigerator so that you can write your little shopping list or your to-do list out of clay. They're really beautiful. So it's very satisfying for me, and I met a lot of really great people through it. So I really enjoyed it.
But you've also been involved with CERT.
Yes, Community Emergency Response Team. Yep, during Irene and Sandy, it's a group of people that are there to support the town emergency responders. We're kind of the backup, like we kind of just support them. So I worked on the public information office team, so sending out press releases or social media messages for people to get the information that's current and accurate in the middle of a situation, an emergency. That's very satisfying too. I actually I haven't been as involved with them as I was when I was working in Rudy's office. It lent itself very well when I worked for Rudy, but now downstairs it's a little different. So.
Right. Now you people have lived basically in Ridgefield your whole life.
Pretty
Did you ever consider moving or living someplace other than Ridgefield?
Is there other places?
Oh, is there? I guess that answers.
There was a time, but when we were looking at houses, and I thought, well, what about Reading? And Mark said, no.
Well, what do you find so
said, okay.
special about this town that it was hard for you to even consider some other place?
Well, our whole support network is here. So Wendy grew up. We're at number 30 Parley. Her mother still lives at number 2, so she's 3 houses away.
Oh my God.
So, and when we were raising the kids, she could be around to help.
Yeah, both my
And
parents.
now that she doesn't really need a whole lot of help, if any, from us, but we're nearby for all that stuff and everything else that goes with it. Whether it's Steve Main, who we've known since high school and played softball with, who comes and works on our furnace, or our friend Arnie from Young's that cuts the lawn, or the
Pat,
doctors
the
that we've seen
painter
for years, or Pat
Who just
Howard,
came to my office today.
who paints, or Mark Holtzum that I've
Yeah.
known since sixth
Yeah.
grade that does carpentry work. But it's not just that. It's, I guess other people will say this about wherever they're from. I mean, I hope they do. But if I tell someone that I'm from Ridgefield, there's a variety of reactions, but pretty consistently is like, wow, I've been to Ridgefield and your main street is gorgeous, or something like that, or, what a wonderful, place. And it is. And you just need to take advantage of everything great that's going on, like the Ridgefield Historical Society.
You do have a home, a summer home, right, or a cabin?
Yeah.
Where's that?
In Redfield, New York, which is about a 4-hour car ride. And it's on the Salmon River Reservoir, which connects to the Salmon River. So that little dip that you're enjoying, Ben,
It's from
which connects to Lake Ontario. So it's just a beautiful and very quiet place. No airports nearby.
So do you, in conclusion, have any like bucket list or goals or something you're really looking forward to doing, that because you've achieved so much already?
Yeah, I think retirement's not too far off for me, and probably not too much further off for Wendy. She's 2 years younger. And then, honestly, I think there's a lot of things like Rhoda, or the men's club, or a lot of, volunteering. I think probably be more involved with the church. Wendy volunteers regularly with the Dorothy Day Soup Kitchen. So that and a little bit of travel. I don't think there's anything too grand on the bucket list, but
New kitchen.
yeah, some things like that. I would like to say, really that having been around for this long, and you guys too, and you, when Cops Hill Plaza was just a swamp, and it was close enough to home, and we would go down there and catch frogs and turtles, or the Fox Hill condos were the Chapley School for Boys, and Casagmo was a private estate. And so there's been a lot of development, but it's largely been very responsible. So Ridgefield has maintained its character, and that's part of what keeps me here. Because if it had changed dramatically, I'd be more open to looking for some other, place ultimately to live. But there's there's no need. It's all right here.
I agree with that.
Do you have any final comments about Ridgefield and its value? And
I certainly treasure my years growing up here, and I have maintained relationships with a lot of my friends from the neighborhood. And I think that rings true to just the caliber of people that are here, and that we all want to keep in touch. And I think it's a wonderful place to raise a family.
well, I want to thank you both. You were such wonderful guests. You were so open. You were so sincere. You were so real. And I hope that the people out there really have a little different insight, have gained some new information about Ridgefield, how it's changed over the years, but it's still that very, very important city to so many people. Thank you for watching, and if you want to be on our show and talk about growing up, let me know. Darla Shaw.